Hello again and welcome back everybody, this is JonnyREcco.
And I'm NEILBOG.
And we're bringing you some more Asus ROG tournament action. This is from the first group stage between two players, none of them Korean. We have a Scotsman actually and a Pole, which is certainly not the usual composition you see, but let's go ahead and introduce our players.
In the top left we have infused JonnyREcco. And in the bottom right we have on Team mouzCCMaNa.
Yep, Mana's made a bit of a good name for himself recently, taking the most recent DreamHack tournament in rather convincing fashion, actually. He looked excellent, and while this is fairly recent news and has nothing to do with this tournament, and because it was actually quite some time ago, he actually just took second place in his up and down group in the GSL, and he will be in Code S next season, which is certainly something very few foreigners have done. Up and down group is very tough. He came second to Bomber in that group. We have a pylon at the top of the natural ramp.
I don't want to fucking talk about a pylon.
But so he looks like he'll be going for a standard sort of Forge Fast Expand type build, Mr. Neil Severson. That's what that means. And JonnyREcco continues to drone up. We'll likely see some sort of 15 pool into a hatchery.
Right on. Just building drones and probes from
the two players. Shit is falling apart very quickly. Neil needs more Dr. Pepper, or else he will die. But indeed, the pool is down on 15, and he will likely follow us up with a couple more drones and then a hatchery as soon as he is able to, unless Mana decides to go with some devious route with this probe and block off this expansion with a pylon. It looks like
we can see the pathing already indicating a vicious hatchery block. And
he's continuing. He was not happy with his rally point, so he's trying
to make pentagonal shapes.
And we have a Nexus first here from Mana on 17 supply, and he'll likely follow up with the Forge as soon as he can, unless he goes super greedy Gateway, but I do not see him doing that. He's too awesome for that. In fact, there is the Forge.
Wouldn't you have been sad if it was going to be a Gateway?
Dude, Gateway, this guy, Mana is not Noni, man. He can't go Gateway.
There's only a select few.
Dude, it's Noni and Axelev, that's about it. They're both American ballers, but they're also American, which means they're not the best at StarCraft 2. But Mana, however, is a Pole, and therefore is a baller.
Yep, Mana dropping his Gateway, and Nexus getting close to completion, while JREcco is taking out that pylon blocking thing.
It's a pylon, and it's blocking the hatchery.
Yes, and will continue to build his hatchery.
And we'll likely see the third hatchery following that immediately. Would you call a Pole who is a baller a tether baller, perhaps? I broke your mind with that pun. That was pretty good. Take that. I guess I'll handle the play-by-play for a second. We have the Gateway followed by the cannon here. The cannon is now finished pushing away that Overlord. And the third hatchery is indeed going down for our Scottish Zerg player representing Infused.
Completely standard from our Zerg player, building a creep tumor to start pushing his creep out towards his natural expansion.
No, I think that JonnyREcco will be actually very adept at defending any number of his bases here because he's a Scotsman. He'll have a easy. He's a Highlander, right?
Well, there's only one. So
if you look at these, if you look at these Highlands coming up from the ramps here, I think he'll be quite good at defending them as they do represent his homeland in the northern parts of Scotland.
That was exceptionally terrible.
Yeah, my tether baller pun is a bit better than that, I think.
Yes.
But we do have 2 gas in base for Mana, so we won't be seeing any sort of zealot-heavy timing attack, I don't think. But the door's still open for any sort of Stargate robotics or some sort of sentry push. And we'll have to see what he decides to do. Tech paths are open to our Polish player.
Drones saturating the natural expansion. We see an Overlord doing some scouting in the Protoss' natural, just kind of hanging out, seeing what's up. It's like a little Goodyear blimp for the Protoss. You know, they look at it, take some pictures, say, "Hey, I saw the Overlord blimp today."
Nice. You and I are both doing very well.
Yeah.
JonnyREcco has actually not scouted the gas into base, so he does not really know exactly what his opponent can be doing, but he does have a good eye on these 2 geysers down at the natural, so we'll have an idea when 3 to 4 gases are taken by the Protoss opponent. The third base is now done. Going to start trying to drone that up as much as he can. Right now, his unit production tab is just drones and overlords, and that's just the way he wants it to be.
Yep. Upgrade coming out on the Forge, that +1 attack. and getting Warp Gate finished up so we can build several more gateways. We can see 3 in production at this moment.
Taking that Xel'Naga Tower control out on the map with a Zealot, a Probe, and a Stalker, so we'll actually likely see him put down some pylons to perhaps go for some aggression on this map. At least a small pressure.
Yep, Zerglings coming out to meet that little sallying force. Roach Warren coming out, going at a pretty standard timing. I'm going to start creating many roaches off of 3 bases in order to put pressure on the Protoss player.
But he'll need to get those roaches up pretty soon, as the pylon at the front is now done. We're going to see some warp-ins here very soon to likely put some pressure on this 3rd base. Or maybe not, he still hasn't done too much of anything. There's the warp-in I was looking for. Zealots on the map, and until these roaches are out, they're actually none in production right now. The Warren's done, but no roaches on the field, and this pressure could do something.
And the Zealots going in just as +1 ground weapons finishes, allowing him to kill Zerglings in 2 hits instead of 3. Takes out the Queen. Zerglings trying to get us around on the Stalkers, but Zealots are... There's too many of them. They push them back. Roaches in production are not going to be out in time to save the majority of the drones.
Huge amount of drones going down. This is actually a very successful attack. Even getting the Queen to start with was excellent, and he's going to try and focus fire this hatchery down as the roaches are distracted. And he might actually just get this unless the roaches are really quick. And the Stalkers are actually going to push them back. This attack is doing huge damage.
This hatchery is going to go down. Zealots finishing it up. Zerg making more roaches.
And he eventually will be able to push this off. This is still a lot of units, but the roach count is starting to get up there a bit. A bunch of Zerglings and roaches on the way. So he's not in danger of dying now, but the follow-up is really going to do a huge amount of damage to our Scottish player.
Zerg spending all his money on 14 Zerglings and 3 more roaches. His 3rd base went down, so his economy is not doing so hot. Blink is on the way. Protoss will likely continue to pressure behind his +2 ground attack, building a robotics bay to get an observer.
Yep. The observer and Blink, always a good combination. JonnyREcco will look out to go destroy this pylon as soon as he finds it. Get rid of that pesky warp grade aggression. But that attack was definitely a success. Getting that hatchery, he didn't even need to get that hatchery for it to be a success. Just the drones and the Queen was enough, because the Blink +2 attack follow-up is really what's going to do a lot of damage for Mana going forward.
Zerg units swarming around the center of the map, gaining map control. JonnyREcco is looking to retake his 3rd base.
And he does. And the Overlord dropping some poop up on that 3rd base to keep Protoss off it as long as he can. But right now, Mana's in a very convincing position, and if we don't see him push out with his +2, I'll be very surprised. He's actually making Immortals. Did he actually make an Observer first? He did not. So he's going straight into Immortals and going to look to do some damage very quickly here.
And that's fine, because Zerg is going straight into Infestors with pathogen glands instead of any sort of burrow roach play.
Actually, he may not be attacking here. He did double check that 3rd base. I'm not sure if that was just for him trying to secure it, potentially with a probe, and in fact it is. He's going to look to make this 3rd base instead of following it up with some sort of big attack.
Zerglings coming in, taking out the probe. That's actually a great little denial by Zerg, forcing Mana to bring... He actually brings his army back for a second, delaying the attack just a little bit.
But here comes that pressure now. He's still going to probably try and put down that 3rd base, but he can attack while he expands.
2 infestors did just pop out, 2 more on the way. They're going to help deny this attack pretty well. If Zerg can get a good flank on the Protoss army, he actually has a shot of just shutting it down entirely. Yeah,
the army supply is actually ahead for JonnyREcco, but the more cost-efficient units other than the Infestors are on Mana's side. The Sentries and the Immortal in particular. This Immortal will be very, very crucial going forward. He needs to make sure that's targeting roaches and not Zerglings to make this as an efficient engagement as possible for our Protoss player.
The Protoss army accidentally gets split up a little bit. Fungal growth going down.
The Immortal getting caught, that is a bad sign for him. He did not want that to happen.
Warp-ins occurring with the Warp Prism.
Always good to have that Warp Prism. Even if you're not using it to harass, it's just having that pylon anywhere to warp in is just very, very useful in any situation.
Notice how the Zerg army was able to push the Protoss back, but if you look at the workers, Zerg is actually behind in workers and is just getting his 3rd base up again.
Yeah, he made this 3rd hatchery, but he just made a bunch of units from it first, and only just now starting to make drones again. So he was basically using it as a macro hatch at his 3rd base location for a while there. But the force fields, there's too many force fields here and Stalkers for Rico to try and do any sort of aggression on this 3rd base, and Mana should be able to secure this easily.
Mana has transitioned into Colossi. He's building his Robotics Bay, as well as getting +3 ground attack for an extremely strong ground army.
Yep, and this Colossus transition will be pretty strong for him. Colossi are very good against infestor-based compositions. They can basically snipe those infestors off from a long range and basically just do sick amounts of damage to any sort of composition that's bunched together, whether it be Zerglings or Roaches. The +2 melee attack is on the way for those Zerglings, so it looks like he'll be shifting into Zergling Infestor until he can get those Broodlords going. That will be his path of choice. The Roaches soak up a lot of supply, and you don't want to really be spending gas on that when you're thinking Broodlords in your future.
Right, and JonnyREcco, his Spire is just completing, looking to go into Broodlords once his Hive finishes in a few more seconds.
And it's gonna be in a good shape, but like the thing is he does not have that 4th base to rely on for economy. It's very crucial to have that 4th base of gas income when you're making this Hive tech transition. You just really soak up a lot of gas. It's 150 gas to make or I think it might be 100 gas for a Corruptor, but then it's 200 gas for a Broodlord, so that's a total of 300, 350. That is a lot of gas, especially if you're making a lot of Broodlords at once.
The rule of thumb is to be on 8 gases to be able to support Hive tech. And obviously, our Zerg player has 6 gases and will not be able to get that ideal composition out.
And these Zerglings will look to see what they can do and sneak in, but right now there's just walls everywhere that they need to be. Sentries in place all over the front line of our Protoss player from Poland, and he's in a great defensive position, and he's looked to get that Death Ball army up, get his +3 attack done, his extended thermal lance done, and he should be able to probably push out across the map and attack before Broodlords finish.
Yep, we see a observer checking out where the Zerg tech progress is. He sees the Hive, knows the Broodlords are on the way, also notices that his opponent is on those 6 gases, so he will try to respond accordingly.
Yeah, he does not quite see this Greater Spire, but he does not see an Ultralisk Cavern either, but he knows the Hive tech is on its way and will need to strike now. This is a great time to move out for him. Looks like he's actually going to secure a 4th. He's just going to sit back and defend, which is a dangerous game to play against a Broodlord focused army. And the Spine Walls are also starting to go down at these expansions as he takes a 4th.
The Fleet Beacon is finishing up 4 mana, so ideally he would get out his mothership and secure his 4th base and get a great bank, great economy, in order to just wear the Zerg army down because he's so gas light.
Yeah, basically, what he's going to be looking to do is secure his 4th base while denying the 4th base of his opponent. He's not going to look to do any sort of major, huge attack here unless he really sees an opportunity to do so. But if he can stay ahead economically, or at least on even footing with the Zerg player, he's in great shape. And this hatchery is done. He knows he can't defend that.
And that's exactly what happened. He denied the 4th base. He's going to try to escape. A bunch of Zerglings coming in.
They're not going to be able to do anything against these Colossus. Not a chance in the world.
Yep, so Mana avoiding the direct engagement. JonnyREcco could not push that army back.
Yeah, but Mana continues to be in great shape. Both players are about maxed at this point, but Mana has a much superior unit composition. Because I don't think any Broodlords... Oh, Broodlords have been morphed. We have... there's a beer in the way. 7 on the field right now and another on the way. So he'll look to be in good shape. That's a fair amount of Broodlords. It's not some sort of game-ending amount, but the thing is the mothership is already on the way for our Protoss player.
Increasingly important is the Zerg ability to split up their Broodlords and get a good engagement. And that's what really distinguishes the top pros from the pros who lose games.
Yeah, if you get all of your Broodlords or all of your Infestors stuck into that vortex, it is game over, especially if your opponent has Archons, which right now, Mana does not. He's maxed, so he will not be doing that anytime soon, but something to watch out for. The 4th base is in danger again. Rico continues to have a very, very tough time getting this done, but a counterattack at the same time is going to go in here, and the probes are already running away. This Nexus is forfeit.
Those late-game Ling run-bys and little pokes by Zerg can be increasingly important to do damage to the Protoss, and Zerg even takes out that 4th base, which is huge, prompting Mana to almost just go straight in and attack, and he's going to get caught on both sides by the Zerg army.
Yeah, and this army is... I wouldn't call it entirely expendable, but right now the Zerglings and Roaches are kind of dead weight. He just wants Broodlords and Infestors at this point, but he still wants to engage as cost efficiently as possible so he can stay alive. Zergling's getting a great surround here, not enough force fields. Good blink from the Stalkers to avoid that surround.
Looks like the Colossi are going to go down, or at least take some damage.
They actually did all right. The Colossi, I'm not sure how many there were to start off with, but getting out of there with 3 Colossus is actually pretty okay.
Yeah, Mana actually coming out great in that encounter. JonnyREcco, in turn, traded some of his supply, which, will let him get those more Broodlords, higher tech units.
Yeah, as we can see, Neural Parasite's on the way as well, and the +1 Carapace is finishing for those Broodlords and Corruptors. Those will look to be very important soon. We do have the Templar Archives halfway done for our Protoss players, so we can get those Archons for that very, very, very popular Archon Toilet to deal with that late game Zerg army.
Yep, in the late game, Protoss tends to have a bunch of gas to burn. That allows them to get a bunch of Archons, which are great for tanking damage and getting that crucial splash damage in Archon Toilet situations.
And once again, that 4th Nexus does go down, and these Zerglings, they stay alive, and that's just, and the longer they can stay alive, the better. Right now, they're basically free units. And here we have some War Prism harass with the Zealots moving in, doing some damage to the drones, and going after the Spine Crawlers now, but he should look to focus drones instead of that, and just try to deny this mining as opposed to losing all these Zealots to Spines.
He sends them to attack the hatchery, but that's a bad call as the Zerglings come in and clean them up before the
especially
hatchery
within
goes
range
down.
of those Spine Crawlers. That was not really going to happen. If he had maybe microed to the backside, he might have been able to get some more damage done. And the War Prism might also go down, or nope, it looks like it's a sneak away. He's got that War Prism speed upgrade. He is quick right now. But this 5th hatchery is going down.
Yep, Protoss with War Prisms are great at drawing Zerg armies and Zerg units back in order to push different aspects of their base situation.
Yeah, right now Mana has pretty good control of this game. He's able to basically walk in and deny a base whenever he feels like it. There's no denying that this army right now. And this 4th base is actually getting going for the first time in a long time for JonnyREcco. And once again, he moves in. He's going to deny this Nexus again, I think. Both players just like trying to maintain this 3 to 4 base battle that we've had going on for quite some time.
Yep, we see many Broodlords out now. Looks like there are just about
16 right now in the field.
16 Broodlords. That is a lot of Broodlords.
Yep.
Mothership almost has enough energy for 2 Vortexes, which is another pretty crucial number. Once it gets that 200 energy, it's able to just zone out so much of the Zerg army that sometimes Zerg cannot engage well.
And also, crucially, if you completely biff that first Vortex, it's always great to have that backup, even if the first one was not great. And the Storm is on the way now for the High Templar, and a bunch of Archons out, so that Archon Toilet is now a great possibility. Great force field right there, sandwiching all those roaches. Get one Colossus over there, that'll roast all of those in a second, or even just the Stalkers. That is a good force field there.
The roaches are still able to deny the Forge, which stops the upgrades just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not the biggest of deals. He's at 3-1 right now. He would like to get that upgrade for the ground armor going, but it's not the biggest deal that was denied right now. Both players still trying to expand once again, and we'll likely see them both denied again, unless there's a big engagement here in the middle, and maybe that's what we'll see in here in a couple seconds. The Mothership is moving in. The Broodlords are spread out pretty well, though. Some Storms starting to go down, and will we see a Vortex? There it is.
There's one Vortex.
Six Broodlords maybe going into that. He'll look to get Archons into that as soon as he can.
The problem is Zerg lost all of his ground army. All he has is just 16 Broodlords and a few Infestors. So while the Broodlords are able to do a ton of damage to the Protoss army, they just don't have the critical mass in order to deal with all of the units.
Basically, it's okay to not have a huge ground army as long as the Infestors are there, but right now there were only 3 last time I checked, and Mana just crushes this battle with the double Vortex.
Yeah, so many Broodlords went down instantly to the Archons, all the ones stuck in that first Archon Toilet.
Basically, he did not have time to get any sort of ground army out. Like he lost those roaches at the ramp and did not have time to reinforce with any sort of new units. And Mana's in a great position to look to deny this 5th base again. Actually, and Rico calls GG. The army that he had out was just absolutely terrifying and wrecked through those Broodlords. Not enough Infestors to hold the Stalkers and Archons out of those Archon Toilets. And that engagement decided the game. Yeah.
A classic endgame scenario for Terran vs. Protoss. Mana was able to nail the key vortexes.
Zerg vs. Protoss.
Zerg vs. Protoss, and
Infested Terran vs. Protoss.
Infested Terran vs. Protoss, and was able to close out the game.
Yep, some great defense early on, and if you remember that little push that he did at the 3rd base, he being mouzCCMaNa, taking out that 3rd base, and I think that set the tone for this entire game and allowed him to get that slight edge, beat the Hive, and just do a really good job in that end game control. And that's the game here, and I think that's it for us right now. Look forward to more content from us in the future, and we will see you later.